Did Hollywood's golden legends really forge their fame in a halo of spotlights or in the shadows of forbidden love? Behind every epic movie, hidden romances redrew studio contracts, rewired public morals, and ignited gossip columns that never slept. Tonight we unravel 21 secret affairs, some sweet, some scandalous, that forever reshaped cinema's power game. Stay till the final reveal, hit subscribe, and decide which clandestine heartbeat changed Tinseltown the most. Clark Gable and Loretta Young. They called him the King, and she the angelic ingenue. But in 1935, their cross-country train ride during Call of the Wild steamed into a moment both stars and an entire studio system scrambled to erase. On a frigid night stopover in rural Washington, Gable's charisma met Young's sheltered Catholic conscience. 9 months later, Judy Lewis was born, quietly whisked into an orphanage while Warner publicity teams flooded magazines with wholesome photo spreads of the beaming actress adopting a little girl. Young signed non-disclosure pledges, Gable returned to his wife, and Hollywood perfected the blueprint for crisis control. Hide the evidence, spin the narrative, keep the box office winners pristine. The affair's fallout reshaped star management. Publicists began issuing morals clauses, studios demanded tighter supervision on location shoots, in-secret pregnancies triggered a labyrinth of hush contracts, still mimicked in modern NDA culture. Judy Lewis spent 3 decades believing she was adopted until her mother's confession shattered tabloids in 1963, finally exposing the scale of Hollywood's deceit. Gable's rugged masculinity remained intact, but the ordeal amplified whispers that no on-screen icon was as squeaky clean as the glossies suggested. In a single concealed romance, the industry learned how to camouflage scandal, and audiences learned to read between the studio lines. Spencer Tracy and Katharine Hepburn. When Hepburn strode onto the Woman of the Year set in 1941, her first words to Spencer Tracy, "I'm afraid I'm too tall for you," sparked a 30-year entanglement that redefined chemistry both on and off screen. Tracy, a devout Catholic with a wife and 2 children, refused divorce. Hepburn, fiercely independent, accepted clandestine evenings and codename call sheets. Their affair birthed 9 hit films, turning the Battle of the Sexes blueprint into a profitable subgenre and flooding theaters with witty repartee audiences sensed was too electric to be scripted. Yet the relationship's secrecy forced MGM to innovate. Sets were redesigned with adjoining private dressing rooms. Night shoots doubled as cover for hushed rendezvous. Publicists pitched Tracy as the everyman hero and Hepburn as the forward-thinking career woman, crafting Hollywood's first power couple myth without ever acknowledging they were a couple at all. Their love story blurred boundaries between character and actor, proving studios could monetize real passion while denying it existed. By the time Tracy died in 1967, the pair had normalized long-term, unwed partnerships in an industry governed by the Hays Code's moral rigidity, paving the way for modern celebrity situationships that thrive in the gray zones of public curiosity. Ingrid Bergman and Roberto Rossellini. In 1949, America adored Ingrid Bergman as the luminous saint of Casablanca. Then she wrote a fan letter to Italian neo-realist director Roberto Rossellini. "If you need a Swedish actress who speaks English, German, French, and Swedish, and who is very brave, I will come." She flew to Rome, ignited an affair while both were married, and conceived a child, all under paparazzi lenses hungry for post-war scandal. U.S. senators denounced her as a powerful influence for evil. Churches called for boycotts, and Bergman was exiled from Hollywood for 7 years. But her banishment cracked the veneer of studio-controlled morality. European auteurs welcomed her raw authenticity, and together Bergman-Rossellini forged cinema that valued emotional truth over glamorous illusion. Their collaboration birthed Stromboli and Journey to Italy, films later hailed as the seeds of modern independent cinema. When Bergman returned triumphantly in Anastasia, 1956, she carried an Oscar and the lesson that artistic freedom could blossom outside the studio gates. The scandal shifted power away from Hollywood's moral watchdogs and toward global director-driven storytelling, clearing a path for the international co-productions that dominate today's market. Elizabeth Taylor and Richard Burton. It began on the Serpentine set of Cleopatra, 1962, the most expensive movie ever attempted and a production already hemorrhaging millions. Elizabeth Taylor, married to singer Eddie Fisher, and Richard Burton, bound to Sybil Williams, locked eyes beneath Egyptian gold leaf and rewrote gossip columns worldwide. Their volcanic affair, public kisses on the Via Veneto, screaming matches audible across Cinecittà, sparked Vatican condemnation as erotic vagrancy, triggered U.S. congressional outrage over budget overruns, and sent 20th Century Fox stock tumbling. Yet the scandal also catapulted Hollywood into the age of blockbuster spectacle. Paparazzi swarmed Rome, inventing modern paparazzo culture. Television bulletins interrupted programming to relay every twist. Studios realized off-screen drama could market an on-screen epic. Taylor negotiated the first $1 million salary by leveraging her newfound infamy, while Burton's Shakespearean gravitas merged with tabloid magnetism, birthing the era's definitive power couple. Their stormy love and twice-married saga normalized astronomical actor fees, expanded global press junkets, and taught executives to harness personal chaos as free publicity, principles that still fuel multi-million-dollar cinematic universes. Marilyn Monroe and John F. Kennedy. Inside the starlit hush of Madison Square Garden, May 19, 1962, Marilyn Monroe's breathy "Happy Birthday, Mr. President" fused two American deities, celebrity and political power, into a single image. Behind the whisper-thin sequined gown lay whispered rendezvous at the Beverly Hills Hotel and late-night White House calls patched through secret switchboards. For the first time, Washington's press corps debated how far to probe a sitting president's private life, while J. Edgar Hoover stockpiled surveillance, hoping to control both star and statesman. The rumored affair shattered the firewall between Hollywood's Dream Factory and the Oval Office. Studios worried loyal audiences might equate on-screen innocence with real-world impropriety. Politicians realized movie star charisma could sway elections but also invite scandal. After Monroe's mysterious 1962 death, conspiracy theories intertwined national security, studio moguls, and organized crime, birthing a new genre of investigative journalism fixated on power's soft underbelly. The Monroe-Kennedy legend endures as a primer on media frenzy, where the glare of stardom can dim even Camelot's crown and forever redefine acceptable boundaries of privacy for public figures. Charlie Chaplin and Joan Barry. By 1943, Charlie Chaplin was cinema's most beloved tramp and a lightning rod for moral crusaders. When aspiring actress Joan Barry accused him of seduction, kidnapping across state lines, and fathering her child, federal prosecutors invoked the Mann Act, branding Chaplin a sexual predator. Blood tests later proved he wasn't the father, yet the court still ordered lifetime child support, citing moral responsibility. Newspapers splashed his mugshot alongside war headlines as congressional hearings labeled him Hollywood's adenoid. This affair ushered in the first true trial by media. Studios panicked, inserting sweeping morals clauses into contracts and allowing government watchdogs to weaponize personal indiscretions. Chaplin's forced exile to Switzerland signaled that international superstardom offered no shield against American Puritanism. More importantly, it birthed the modern notion that celebrity scandal could be litigated as public entertainment, fueling decades of courtroom television, from O.J. Simpson to Depp Heard. Chaplin's artistry survived, but his banishment reminded Hollywood that the same lens that projects dreams can just as easily spotlight downfall. Errol Flynn and Beverly Adland. Errol Flynn's swashbuckling grin masked a reputation already tarnished by earlier statutory rape trials. But in 1957, he met 15-year-old chorus dancer Beverly Adland on the set of Too Much, Too Soon. Flynn was 48, deep in alcoholism and yearning for a final act. Their clandestine romance sailed across Europe and Africa, tabloids trailing yacht wakes and hotel registries forged with fake ages. When Flynn died in Adland's arms 2 years later, headlines screamed, "Death of a modern Don Juan," while her mother penned The Big Love, selling rights before the coffin closed. The affair reignited national outrage over underage exploitation and pushed producers to institute stricter guardian requirements for teenage performers, precursors to today's intimacy coordinators and mandatory on-set welfare supervisors. Flynn's death, autopsied under a forensic frenzy, exposed the toll of unchecked celebrity excess, inspiring the Screen Actors Guild to expand healthcare programs and substance abuse assistance. In the end, their story warned Hollywood that romanticizing illicit adventure could also bankroll tragedy, an echo still heard whenever a young starlet steps onto a set lined with legacy predators, Joan Crawford and Clark Gable. For years, MGM floated rumors that Crawford and Gable were the studio's safest box office bet. Chemistry too golden to spoil with real romance, executives insisted. Yet behind Stage 27's swinging doors during Dancing Lady, 1933, Louis B. Mayer caught the pair locked in a wardrobe closet, breathless amid sequined gowns. Mayer slapped each with a $50,000 morality threat and separated their dressing rooms by an entire soundstage. Still, the affair blazed, crawling into gossip columns that painted Crawford as predatory and Gable as the rakish conqueror. The fallout forged Hollywood's modern shipping craze. Fan clubs mailed imaginary wedding invitations, while MGM fueled the fantasy with publicity stills of the duo laughing off-set. Crawford learned to monetize every whisper, launching a new line of cosmetics branded around her forbidden glow, while Gable's persona as the irresistible alpha solidified. Their liaison also hardened studio resolve. Future contracts inserted distance clauses, banning unsupervised time between co-stars. But the damage and the template were done. Viewers began chasing off-screen sparks with the same hunger they showed for ticket stubs, birthing today's social media rumor mills that can make or break a film before the trailer drops. Cary Grant and Randolph Scott. In 1932, Paramount paired rising British import Cary Grant with cowboy star Randolph Scott for a publicity flat share on the Santa Monica Bluffs. Photographers arrived expecting bachelor hijinks. Instead, they caught homemaking bliss, matching robes, shared breakfasts, sunbathing tete-a-tete that fueled whispers the men were more than roommates. Studio chiefs panicked, pushing Grant into arranged dates with starlets and shipping Scott to distant Western locations. Yet the pictures had spoken. In an era ruled by the Hays Code's bans on sexual perversion, audiences sensed an authenticity that complicated the silver screen's definition of masculinity. Grant's debonair charm now carried subtext. Scott's rugged stoicism hinted at hidden tenderness. Over time, their rumored romance quietly opened cracks in Hollywood's facade, teaching future generations, from Montgomery Clift to Rock Hudson, how to cultivate stardom while guarding personal truth. Even today, the Grant Scott beach house photos resurface whenever Hollywood's relationship with LGBTQ+ identity enters the spotlight, a silent reminder that the closet never fully contained its brightest occupants. Greta Garbo and Mercedes Acosta. Swedish Sphinx Greta Garbo famously told reporters, "I want to be alone," but poet-playwright Mercedes Acosta held the key to her private kingdom. They met at a costume party in 1931. Garbo arrived as a 16th-century page boy, Acosta as a matador, and by dawn the two had disappeared into the actress's Spanish mission bungalow. Over the next decade, coded telegrams zipped across oceans. "The weather is perfect for herring. Do you still walk barefoot in the sand?" Their affair pushed boundaries, same-sex love in an industry terrified of moral crusaders, and their breakup fed Garbo's mythic reclusiveness. When Acosta sold her letters to the Rosenbach Museum in 1960, MGM lawyers scrambled to buy them back, fearing exposure of a queer Hollywood lineage. They failed. The archive surfaced in 2000, igniting scholarly debate and inspiring directors to re-examine coded queer subtext in classic films. Garbo's enigmatic performances took on new hues, her androgynous wardrobe, her lingering glances at women in Queen Christina, and Hollywood historians finally credited pioneers whose private lives challenged the era's rigid binaries. Their love story didn't just bend gender norms, it confirmed that diversity had always existed behind the Klieg lights, waiting for a future that could name it. Humphrey Bogart and Lauren Bacall. During To Have and Have Not, 1944, 44-year-old Bogart coached 19-year-old newcomer Bacall on how to drop her chin and smolder at the camera. Off-camera, marital vows to actress Mayo Methot crumbled as Bogey's trailer filled with chessboards, cigarettes, and Bacall's low-voiced laughter. Their affair was an open secret. Crew members dubbed night shoots bogey calls, and Warner Brothers feared a reputation hit for its leading tough guy. Instead, audiences devoured the sizzling dialogue, and the pair's real-life passion catapulted The Big Sleep and Dark Passage into legend. Bogart divorced Methot in 1945, marrying Bacall amid flashing bulbs and birthing Hollywood's archetype of the May-December romance. The union shifted casting trends. Studios paired older male icons with rising starlets to mimic Bogey and Baby. Meanwhile, Bacall's assertive femininity cracked open roles for women whose allure lay in wit, not fragility, influencing character blueprints from Rosalind Russell to Julia Roberts. Their affair also birthed one of Hollywood's first power alliances against studio control. Bacall often demanded script approval on Bogart's behalf, foreshadowing the actor-driven project autonomy common today. In loving each other loudly, they rewrote studio handbooks on both romance and negotiating power. Lana Turner and Johnny Stompanato. Lana Turner, the sweater girl, couldn't resist the bad boy mystique of Johnny Stompanato, a bodyguard for mobster Mickey Cohen, meeting him in 1957 at Ciro's nightclub. Soon he shadowed her film sets, brandishing diamonds and threats in equal measure. Turner's bruises appeared under pancake makeup. Directors added long-sleeve costumes overnight. On April 4, 1958, Stompanato stormed Turner's Beverly Hills home mid-argument. Turner's 14-year-old daughter, Cheryl Crane, stabbed him once through the heart. The inquest, broadcast live on radio, ruled justifiable homicide, but the spectacle eclipsed Turner's Oscar nomination for Peyton Place. Newspapers juxtaposed stills of the glamorous starlet with morgue photos, birthing modern true crime celebrity coverage. Turner survived, but MGM recut another time, another place to minimize her love scenes, fearing audience backlash. Ironically, the scandal fed ticket sales. Crowds lined up to glimpse a woman rumored to have loved a gangster to death. Hollywood learned that even the darkest publicity could translate into box office gold. While the Stompanato case sparked industry-wide discussions on domestic abuse, influencing later protective order laws and on-set security protocols for threatened talent. Ava Gardner and Frank Sinatra. When sultry Ava Gardner met crooner Frank Sinatra in 1949, he was married to wholesome Nancy Barbato and reeling from career decline. Their affair detonated headlines, church groups burned Gardner's photos, gossip columnist Hedda Hopper labeled her a homewrecker. Sinatra's studio yanked his contract, radio stations blacklisted his records, and the once golden voice faced financial ruin. Yet Gardner's unwavering support and rumored pawning of her jewels funded Sinatra's trip to audition for From Here to Eternity, 1953, a role that resurrected him with an Oscar. Their fiery marriage, 1951 to 57, defined Hollywood volatility, midnight fights, smashed champagne bottles, reconciliation trips to Capri. Paparazzi chronicled every bruise and bouquet, teaching networks that real-time relationship drama could spike ratings. Sinatra emerged a reinvented star, tough, tender, and bankable, while Gardner's magnetic risk-taking carved a niche for actresses wielding sensuality as agency. The lesson? Image destruction could precede reinvention, and personal narrative could be weaponized to shift casting coffers. Today's comeback arcs, from Robert Downey Jr. to Jennifer Lopez, trace their roots to the Gardner-Sinatra roller coaster that proved a scandal could be the best audition tape in town. Vivien Leigh and Laurence Olivier. They met during London rehearsals for Fire Over England, 1936. Both married, Leigh to barrister Herbert Lee Holman, Olivier to actress Jill Esmond, yet each drawn to the other's ferocious ambition. Nightly, they traded Shakespearean monologues on windswept Hampstead Heath, vowing to conquer Hollywood together. Their affair pushed British press into moral panic and forced MGM to mobilize a clandestine annulment strategy. Lawyers staged dual divorces on 2 continents while David O. Selznick dangled Gone with the Wind as carrot. Married in 1940, the Oliviers became transatlantic royalty, fusing method acting with aristocratic gravitas. Yet behind closed doors, Leigh battled undiagnosed bipolar disorder. Olivier's infidelities and wartime absences amplified her spirals. Their volatile love informed iconic performances. Blanche Dubois' fragile hysteria mirrors Lee's reality, blurring boundaries between craft and life and inspiring directors to mine personal torment for on-screen authenticity. When the couple divorced in 1960, Hollywood acknowledged that no role could contain mental health struggles, sparking early discourse on psychological care for artists. Their legacy endures every time an actor channels raw trauma for Oscar Gold, a testament to love that burned bright enough to illuminate and scar the world's stage. Bette Davis and William Wyler. New Orleans, 1937. Director William Wyler, the meticulous craftsman behind Dead End, watches Bette Davis rehearse a fiery waltz for Jezebel. She is married to musician Harmon Nelson, he to actress Margaret Tallacher, yet the humid night air crackles when their eyes lock over a discarded lace glove. Days blur into moonlit carriage rides, trumpet jazz drifting from Bourbon Street balconies, and whispered script edits that last till dawn. Wyler goads Davis to drop her theatrical habits, insisting she feel, not act. She answers by smashing takes in single luminous bursts, raw and unguarded. Studio spies report the affair to Jack L. Warner, who fumes but cannot deny the dailies are electric. When Jezebel premieres, Davis wins her second Oscar, crediting Bill for teaching her danger in silence. Yet passion curdles under the grind of reshoots. Wyler's need for endless takes collides with Davis's hunger to conquer the next role. A blow-up on the editing lot ends the romance, and Davis boards a night train alone. Mascara streaked but resolve sharpened like a stiletto. The fallout is seismic. Warner begins pairing every major female star with a director temperament coach, hoping to duplicate lightning. Davis turns her pain into a flinty screen persona that paves the road for hard-edged heroines from Joan Crawford's Mildred Pierce to Faye Dunaway's Diana Christensen. Their affair proved a woman's performance could hinge on emotional truth, not dainty poses, rewriting acting textbooks and forever blurring the line between private longing and public art. Rita Hayworth and Prince Ali Khan. Cannes, Spring 1948. Columbia Pictures' sultry star Rita Hayworth, newly divorced from Orson Welles, meets dashing Prince Ali Khan at a charity gala so glittering it makes the Mediterranean look dull. He slides a diamond bracelet across the table, so your wrist feels sunlit at midnight. Gossip columnists ignite. Hollywood royalty courting literal royalty. Harry Cohn, Columbia's tyrant boss, bellows that marriage will trash her pin-up mystique and suspends her without pay. Hayworth shrugs, boards Khan's yacht, and sails into a flashbulb maelstrom. Their whirlwind romance ends at a Biarritz altar where cameras outnumber guests. American newspapers fume that Gilda has abandoned Uncle Sam for a Muslim playboy. Pakistani and Indian editors cheer a modern fairy tale. Columbia scrambles. Without its top siren, the studio delays productions and bleeds cash. Rival companies pounce, luring talent with promises of personal life clauses that respect off-screen happiness. Motherhood softens Hayworth's on-screen image, but Khan's jet-set affairs quickly erode the marriage. By 1953, she returns to Hollywood seeking custody of their daughter and control of her career, but finds the studio system she left already tilting toward television. Yet the blueprint she created endures. Today's headlines of actors marrying princes, Grace Kelly, Meghan Markle, even social media influencers, trace back to Hayworth's defiant leap from soundstage to palace, proving a woman could script her own myth beyond the Hollywood sign. James Dean and Pier Angeli, Warner Lot, 1954. Rising rebel James Dean roars up on his Triumph motorcycle, grease-black hair whipping. Inside stage 8, MGM ingenue Pier Angeli, eyes like Roman fountains, rehearses a lullaby for the silver chalice. Between takes, Dean sketches her profile on a matchbook and slips it into her palm. Their moonlight drives along Mulholland dissolve into plans for elopement, but Angeli's strict Italian mother and MGM publicists decree Dean too pagan, too poor, too Protestant. Studio bosses steer her toward crooner Vic Damone, a safe Catholic. On wedding day, Dean parks outside St. Timothy's Church, engine idling like a wounded animal, watching paparazzi swarm Angeli in white. He roars away, nearly clipping a photographer, and heads into legend. Weeks later, he channels heartbreak into Rebel Without a Cause, every anguished shout etched with real loss. Angeli's career, now bound to wholesome roles, stalls and melodramas. Dean dies in a Porsche crash the next year, myth sealed. The romance galvanizes teen culture. Fan magazines plaster forbidden love across covers, fueling the notion that studios manipulate hearts as ruthlessly as contracts. After Angeli's tragic overdose in 1971, critics connect the dots between studio-engineered marriages and mental health tolls, giving rise to actor advocacy groups and clauses allowing psychological counseling. Dean and Angeli's thwarted love became Hollywood's cautionary tale, proof that controlling personal narratives can cost lives, but also birth performances that burn forever on celluloid. Katharine Hepburn and Howard Hughes. Beverly Hills, 1937. Maverick billionaire Howard Hughes crash lands his Sikorsky amphibian on Lake Arrowhead and invites Katharine Hepburn to fly somewhere no map names. She, fresh from being labeled box office poison, sees adventure and deep pockets able to bankroll a comeback. They spar over golf swings, trade engineering jokes, and conspire at Musso and Frank's corner booth, while Hughes secretly tests hearing aid prototypes for her brother-in-law. Their affair, equal parts romance and merger, alters career trajectories. When RKO dumps Hepburn, Hughes quietly buys the rights to the Philadelphia story for $15,000 and hands them to her as a Christmas gift. She sells the package to MGM with herself attached, dictating co-stars and director. Unheard of female power in 1940. The film resurrects her career, nabbing Oscar nominations and cementing the screwball blueprint, still mimicked by Pretty Woman and 10 Things I Hate About You. Meanwhile, Hughes learns charisma's marketing power. He retunes his airline ads around glamorous storytelling, birthing the image of stewardesses as movie stars of the sky. As their romance wanes, Hepburn drifts toward Spencer Tracy, Hughes toward aviation records. The deal-making template endures. Actors see they can seize intellectual property, not just salaries. Studios grudgingly codify profit participation clauses. Every modern star who owns a production shingle, from Reese Witherspoon to Brad Pitt, flies in the jet stream carved by Hepburn and Hughes's high-altitude love. Gloria Swanson and Joseph P. Kennedy, Senior Hollywood, 1927. Silent screen goddess Gloria Swanson meets Wall Street powerhouse Joe Kennedy on a studio tour. He promises to make pictures as polished as Manhattan marble, and she sees a financier who can fund her extravaganzas and maybe rescue her from Paramount's tight grip. Within weeks, their affair is ablaze in seaside cottages, while Kennedy funnels millions into Swanson's company, including the Gothic epic Queen Kelly. But passion outpaces prudence. Director Erich von Stroheim's cost balloon, African shoot stall, censors Blanche at risque scenes. Kennedy, eyeing a presidential future for his family, panics and pulls funding, leaving Swanson to shoulder ruinous bills. The unfinished film becomes a byword for Hollywood hubris. Swanson's stardom survives talkie transition, but never regains pre-Kennedy heights, pushing her toward theater tours and later the meta-masterpiece Sunset Boulevard. For Kennedy, the debacle teaches brutal lessons in risk management, shaping his son's future media strategies. Contain scandal, own the narrative. Wall Street investors, burned by Queen Kelly, demand tighter budget oversight, birthing studio completion bonds that still safeguard productions. The liaison proved affairs could bankrupt films and careers alike, echoing anytime romances between moguls and stars threatened to bleed red ink onto the ledger books. Marlene Dietrich and Josef von Sternberg. Berlin, 1929. Director Josef von Sternberg peers through cigar smoke at cabaret singer Marlene Dietrich and sees the future. They retreat to a shadowed editing room, crafting the Blue Angels' sultry Lola Lola, while rumors swirl of all-night sessions punctuated by silk stockings draped over lamps. Hollywood beckons. Together they sail to Paramount, inventing the Dietrich look. Top hat and tails, gauzy tuxedo shirts, sapphire lighting that carves cheekbones like marble. Their affair manifests on screen in 7 hypnotic films, each more daring. Androgyny in Morocco, fetish glamour in Shanghai Express, anti-fascist heat in The Devil is a Woman. But studio chiefs bristle at budgets swollen by Sternberg's obsessive set designs. Box office receipts sag. When Dietrich balks at his demand, she shave her eyebrows for a new vision. The partnership and romance shatters. Paramount dumps Sternberg. Dietrich, guided by Agent Mae West, pivots to comedies and war bond tours, reinventing herself yet again. The breakup cements two truths. Auteurs could sculpt stars into living art, and those stars could outgrow their creators. Modern actor-director muses, Scorsese, De Niro, Burton, Depp, owe lineage to Dietrich Sternberg's combustible synergy. And every fashion house framing a tuxedo-clad woman under soft key light is paying silent tribute to a love affair that turned gender codes into celluloid poetry. Cary Grant and Sophia Loren, Spain, 1957. On location for The Pride and the Passion, Cary Grant, 53, greets 22-year-old Sophia Loren with fluent Italian charm and a bouquet of gardenias. She is engaged to producer Carlo Ponti. Grant is in his third marriage yet struck by sunset thunder, as he later writes. They picnic atop a cannon prop, swapping childhood stories, his Bristol poverty, her war-ravaged Naples. Paparazzi cling to scaffolding, snapping a kiss silhouetted against castle ruins. Grant wires Ponti, "Your fiancée is the most enchanting woman alive. I intend to marry her." Lauren, torn between mentor and muse, chooses Ponti after a Roman priest warns of scandal. Grant returns to Los Angeles devastated, begins experimental LSD therapy, and emerges with a mellowed screen persona. Less screwball acrobat, more reflective gentleman of charade and Father Goose. Lauren becomes an international sensation, her refusal framed as Mediterranean loyalty, winning an Oscar for Two Women, and shattering the belief that European actresses needed Hollywood husbands to reign. The affair bursts a new gossip economy. European tabloids syndicate scoops to American outlets overnight, creating the first truly global celebrity news cycle. Publicists now budget for location shoot scandals, knowing a whiff of forbidden romance can double foreign grosses. Grant and Lauren never reunite, but every cross-continental set romance, Pitt Jolie in Namibia, Pattinson Stewart in Vancouver, echoes their bittersweet cannon-top embrace. Hollywood still dazzles, but its brightest lights burn thanks to these hidden sparks. From royal runaways to studio-killing passions, every whispered kiss left a legacy stitched into the movies we love. Let their stories remind us that screen legends beat with hearts. Like, share, and keep the secrets alive.